Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Andor reviews. I don't know what the fuck we call them, but this is a GeekVerse review. I am the coming down hard Travis Snell, and I'm joined by
I am the squig abuser, and we call them Cassie and Ander reviews. Okay,
Yes
we,
and
we say it
Ender.
right. Proper nomenclature?
Sorry,
No, that's not the right. Just
don't even
saying, I
try.
guess.
Don't even think
Yeah,
about it.
just pass it along. Who else are we with?
The prisoner, Taylor Field. Did you say nomenclature?
Nomenclature is like, I feel like it's a word. It could be
The,
like a derogatory term for an individual, and it's like that's not proper nomenclature for it.
the devising or choosing of names for things, especially in science.
Really? Okay,
I
that's
don't
not
think
what I
that
thought.
applies here. No,
Yeah.
I don't.
I was
think
just
that
pulling
really.
from The Big Lebowski because when he's talking about the Chinaman, he's like, "It's not proper nomenclature, man."
Fancy word. I like it.
Great
It
movie.
reminds me of like
Yeah.
cantankerous. It's another one of my favorite words.
That's
that
a
I,
wonderful
I don't
word
use
right
that in
there.
public too often.
No, what does that mean?
No,
What
I
do you
like
mean?
boisterous. Like
What does
souped up.
boisterous mean?
Yes.
That means loud and rowdy.
Loud and
Yeah.
rowdy. I like
Yeah,
it. That's the theme for this episode.
ladies and gentlemen, everything you need to know is down below. The links, the audios, the Discord, the Patreon, our podcast network, which I should announce here because it's going to go tomorrow. But a big thank you to Katie, the host of Stars Lines, because she is officially going to be hosting our Star Wars trivia for the
Woo!
Trivia Extra Life that's happening November 5th. That I know it's going to be confusing. I should find to cut it out because like I have the time of the trivia, but then I got the thumbnail and then I got time to stream when Dave announced it on Film Junkie Live. He's like, "Oh yeah, it's at yeah, you got all the details right there." As always, the whole stream, the event starts at 9 a.m. But that's why I always say in every tweet, go to the details down below, look at the link because that has the timestamp for every single thing. The trivia will be 6 p.m. PST. But if you're ever forgetting, ever wondering what's happening, hey, some other events might change and whatnot because we have other people like Saris and maybe Jessica, even no, I guess not that person, but other people might be stopping by and stuff like that. And I was gonna say Connor, I'm like, no, I forgot he moved, but he will. Connor will be involved in the stream one way. Either way, lots of things could shift. The trivia battle is not. That has so many people that's like, okay, that's linked to 6 p.m. PST, but you'll find every event there. We'll go over there. So yeah, Katie will be hosting that. Dave's gonna be hosting the DC stuff, and next week I'll announce the Marvel trivia, and I'm very excited about that. So look out for that. Still more players too. Taylor, are you happy with your roster so far?
I think it's gonna be a great session. Many of these.
Yeah, I think they're gonna lose. I don't think it's gonna go too well for them and stuff like
You
that.
Oh
little
no!
bastard! You little
So rude.
bastard!
That's
Who's winning
my
this
rock.
one?
It doesn't matter.
So, like, I haven't seen many of these people since last year when I spoke with them in last year's trivia session.
Good team
so,
synergy. Good.
It's just you gotta
Once a year we assemble.
exactly. You gotta take a break from each other. I know I can be a lot to handle on people, and like God forbid you guys put up with me like every day, so it's just ruthless.
Contracts. I'm
Yeah.
gonna let out
So
that aggression come November 5th for our ladder match. That's when there's no contracts, the gloves are off, and I'm just gonna be smacking you silly and stuff like and win the third wrestling match.
I know. Like I'm happy. Every announcement that has been unveiled for members of my team, I'm so thankful, so happy. I feel like of everyone that's gonna get under your nerves, though, I feel like Scott's gonna really get under your nerves. It's gonna
Scott always gets under
just
my
gonna
nerves.
drive you nuts, and that's gonna derail you.
Scott has been a thorn in my side the past 2 years. I met him for the first one. He was great. And ever since then, he's taken shots. He didn't join my team last year. He's always throwing some sort of shade at me on the vodka stream. But that go and watch the trivia battle when it comes up. That is always our biggest event. And like I said, we still got more players. We got over 15 people right now involved with. I think it's gonna be like 20. I don't know. There's a lot of people. It's our biggest event from the gauntlet send off to the title matches to the rematches to the like I said, the wrestling match, the trivia, tons of stuff. Head over there November 5th at 9 a.m. 24 hours, $3,500 towards BC Children's Hospital. All goes towards a good cause, all tax deductible. So please, if you can share, donate, that'd be great. And yeah, Patreon, you can do that. Ad free early episodes. We just did talking about Gauntlet, a good Gauntlet set off, which a lot of patrons have been liking and stuff like that. So that's good. And then yeah, and then big thank you to Aaron Braden, April Darkness, Smiley Big Joshua Wright. You guys should be not yet, but in a couple months, and you'll begin that. I think in December you'll begin that nice Lord of the Rings Extra Life exclusive shirt.
It's not intercepted.
Yeah, no, I think
By
those.
the
I think they'll
agents.
get through. So we'll see. But if not, we'll make it up to everybody. And then yeah, Manscaped 20% off free worldwide shipping. Use that podcast code GVPOD, just like Patreon, just like the sponsors. The more you support them, or our Patreon, the more content you create. And as you can see in October, November's not slowing down. September, we've just had a plethora of content. Like I said, your podcast father is ready to take a big long nap after this extra live stream because we are just chugging along. We got 2 reviews tonight.
It's a long weekend following the charity stream
Thank God.
week, which
Thank
yeah,
God.
very, very nice,
yeah, but it's
actually.
also Black Panther, so that's a fucking 5-hour event because we got
Oh,
the movie. We got
That's
the
like
movie.
a good oh gosh, even though it
It
sounds
is.
Well, Black
very
Panther.
sad.
that's the day of the holiday though for
Yeah,
us in
you're
Canada,
right.
right?
You're
So we're
right.
good.
The next day, you're not for you, Taylor. You work the next day though.
No, the next day's Saturday.
Mm-mm.
November 11th is the
I
Friday.
think it's on a Friday this year. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, but Black Panther's at the Thursday.
But then Taylor.
But then
won't
I don't work
on
the next
Friday.
day.
You don't work the
It's Remembrance Day.
You don't work Friday?
No, it's Remembrance Day.
There's
It's like the
tons of
one-
stats you work.
It's like
There's
the one
tons-
stat that Taylor
No,
actually gets.
it's those like weird peculiar news stats like the Queen's death and stuff like that. So
Oh, see, that's funny because like when I was telling Emily's mom, she has to work Remembrance Day, so not every
Really?
job's like yeah.
Really?
So
what field
that's
of work? Be like vague, so
No.
it's not spoiling.
I'm not gonna
Spec
say
Ops soldier.
I'm not gonna say it on. Yeah, she's on getting those shirts.
I don't. If you work in like
She helped
retail
take
and
out
stuff,
Osama.
you don't, because like retail in the mall and everything like that, you
Oh, they
have
don't
to
give a
still.
fuck.
No,
They're like,
they
just
don't.
remember to clock in. That's all we want you to remember
Yeah,
today. You know?
exactly.
But anyways, well, that's good. Then that makes me feel better because that's a 2 hour and 40 movie, and that's gonna be a 2.5 hour plus review because that's all 3 of us and Dilma. So let's get this going before we get a fucking 1-star for. Oh, they're talking about their personal lives and these shows are going. I just here for Andor. Well, Kirklin, start them off. What did you think about Andor?
Cassian Andor. Yeah, episode 8. This was right. How many are going on in this season? Are we getting
24?
close?
12.
Yeah.
24. I would
No,
be down.
12.
I'd be down.
12.
No, I want to believe 24.
24?
Yeah. All right. See you later. Everyone's dropping out today. Yeah. No, man. I'm continuing to just love this show.
Yeah. Oh shit, Kirkland went too.
This is gonna be a 3-hour review. We're gonna keep popping in and out.
Yeah, I had to after you're like, oh, everyone's dropping on them. Like Kirkland hasn't dropped yet.
That is fair, yeah. But we checked them all off now. No, I am continuing to love this show. I thought maybe like the peak would have been like that big heist moment, which the big heist episode was a very like climactic episode. But I think everything that's followed has still just had me so engaged. The quality of the show, like the cinematography of certain shots, it's gonna be 12 episodes of just like movie quality Star Wars content, and I've never been so fascinated by like this politicking that's going on behind the scenes of just getting this rebellion started. And God, I'm like so happy while I'm watching this show, and it's awesome. House of the Dragon, I was loving that show. It's now over. It's awesome that I still have another show going on that I just absolutely love week by week to follow along. And yeah, I mean, I feel like out of all the episodes, this was maybe Cassian's like. I feel like he was the quietest out of like all the episodes. He's been, he's doing stuff in this episode, but
he
it's
wasn't
definitely
bombastic or what was the word you were talking about, Taylor, earlier?
Cantankerous.
No,
Boisterous.
cantankerous.
Boisterous. He wasn't cantankerous.
Yeah, he wasn't.
That's
He wasn't
not
any
even
of
what
those.
No.
But it's just it's so. I feel like even though he might have been on like the back burner simmering a little bit, I just felt this like tension for other characters and just like the state of the Star Wars universe right now, of like these little ripples of the rebellion starting along, and it just seems like it can go out at any minute, and it has me so engaged. I'm loving it. I'm loving the runtime. I feel like it's working so well. Definitely though, like I totally understand if people are having issues with like just it being like a slower paced show. For me, it's hitting like perfectly. I don't think I'm alone in that regard, but I can definitely understand if some people are just looking for maybe, a 20-minute show if it is this pace, or just maybe more action involved into it. Because specifically this episode, it wasn't really action heavy at all. Even last week's episode, really. So. But for me, it's all working. There's even a certain character that I absolutely hated, and I feel like maybe it's giving me some glimpses of like, oh, this guy might be a little bit interesting now. But I haven't fully been, sold in that camp. But I'm optimistic. Maybe it'll save it, and who knows? Maybe this could just really like I was gonna say save it. That's the wrong word. It could boost it if they redeem that character in a certain fashion. That maybe this is a 10 out of 10 show for me. Like honestly, like I am loving it so much. So pass it along there.
Dave, Phil.
This show just continues to surprise me and just feel refreshing because if you look at the scope of how many places we've been to and just where we continue to keep on exploring, it does not disappoint and just keeps providing so many different world building aspects for Star Wars. And I really, really appreciate what they're delivering to the fandom at this point. And yet we're definitely in that situation where it's calm, the storm happened, and we're just kind of like dealing with the fallout, and we're just kind of progressing in the narrative, which is absolutely perfect because more political stuff, more intrigue, and just more in-depth character development that isn't always attached with explosions and like escalation 1 to 100ness, that kind of stuff. Like we just get to actually like simmer and stew on certain things with these characters, which I really, really like, and I'm just excited to see where this is going to be going. I really, really enjoyed this episode for a couple things that surprised me that I look forward to talking about in spoilers. It's cool to see where these world building components start. It's just such a simple little subtle thing, and they just throw it into an episode. So yeah, I love it.
Oh, I gotta go on a little tangent here. I'm sending you guys something in the GV3 chat. When the fuck have we been referred to? This is how I know Taylor put up the link. When the fuck have we been referred to? The squad dives into episode 8. When do we call ourselves the squad?
It's the squad.
You know?
GV3, the squad.
I feel like
I'm changing that to the
I've
crew.
described certain reviews in that fashion. Like, maybe not the squad. It's probably mostly the boys. The boys dive down.
I feel like we
Dive
use.
down,
I
God.
always. Oh god, that's a whole different video. I feel like I use it on Twitter. I feel like we use the crew the most, the GV crew, because that's like very quick to say. Squad, that just gives me bad vibes. That makes me think of
Bad vibes. You got like Rogue
Suicide
Squadron.
the Suicide Squad. Yeah, no. Fantastic episode. I think this was best episode of the season so far. I thought it was intense, and it's not even the episode that has the most action, but I loved it. There's a certain character / actor in here that I would say it was a nice surprise, but I feel like, well, I won't say most of us knew this because I don't think Taylor knew that, because he's like, there's a surprise character. I'm like, we knew this like a year ago, bro, but that's okay.
I meant different. No, I'm talking about different, not that one. Different.
Okay,
Same,
well,
but different.
Same but
But
different.
still same. Yeah.
Yeah, same but different. But no, I thought all just little threads they're doing right now. I think even what Kirklin's saying, I agree. This is the first time, if we're talking about the same character, I was like, okay, I'm somewhat interested in someone liking these scenes where they've always felt like a drag. The situation they put them in had a very kind of, I'd say, the intensity of like a Squid Game sort of feel. That's what I kind of got vibes from. Of, you know, there's certain people doing things that makes you not feel as uncomfortable as that, but it's uncomfortable because the situation they've been put in and stuff like that. So I love both of you seeing the rebellion start to really build, and you're starting to just, or like not really, but like quietly build. You're seeing all the chess pieces be put on the board, but you're also seeing how the empire really functions. And you're seeing some things like I don't care. It's pretty much what it is. Like this is a they're making an allegory for almost like Nazi camps back in the day, you know, of people just being rounded up, and it's mini spoilers, but I think you've seen enough, and you saw from last week of like Cassian along with other people getting rounded up and just forced to do these things that are just life altering and stuff like that. And you can just see how quickly power can take over and stuff like that. So I thought this was a fantastic episode. I think a couple episodes I said like, oh, I love that episode, and I did, but this just felt like a different layer of like the entire episode. I was hooked into it, and yeah, just this one was really good. I'm excited to talk about certain aspects. I will say, from like a full male point of view, the actress that plays Mon Mothma, she looked absolutely fucking gorgeous in this episode. Just gorgeous. The way they had her hair,
Costume
she's
design
looking, the
is-
costume design,
oh.
but she just was in this room, and I know it's like, oh, she's the main character in that, but she just fucking like popped like she was on a runway. I was like, my goodness, this woman was just like took my breath away when I was watching this. I was like, oh my goodness. But those scenes are fantastic. Like I would not just because of that, I would take them on off my show, because again, she's continuing to be my favorite character of the show. Honestly, I love Cassie and I love Luthen. I think Luthen would be, but he continues to. This episode, he had a really great scene, but he continues to only. That's kind of his. I don't know, since probably 3 or 4 episodes ago, he just has one scene per episode pretty much, you know, and I hope that we either get more of him in season 2 and he just doesn't die in this season. That's my worry, that they'll kill him off. But I love Luthen. It's just he's been a little quieter, but Mon Mothma, man, he's great. Everyone's great. So
Yeah. I feel like, leading up to the show, knowing that Stellan Skarsgård was in it, love his voice, and it's just like, oh, I can't wait to see him in it. And then now, like where he is, episode 8, I'm thinking back, I'm like, man, he fits so well in the Star Wars universe. Like his voice, the way he the cadence of his character, like he just seems like he belongs to be in Coruscant, and it's just such a perfect casting for that character in it. And again, like he's the type of actor that I've seen him in, many things, Pirates, Avengers, was it? Age of Ultron. Thor, yeah,
not just
exactly.
Age of Ultron. He's yeah.
So
Age
like,
of
I've
Ultron,
seen him
you named the
around.
one movie where he's running around naked and stuff like that. I guess that's the
most memorable. And it's like, I appreciate him, but here, I don't know, it's just on a whole nother level for me. And I think it's probably just because I absolutely am loving the show so much that like all the characters are just really working for me. So yeah.
All right, well, we're gonna get into spoilers, and then we'll be right back. And we're back. So yeah, I want to start with actually let's start with the big one. I feel like. So what was the surprise you were talking about, Taylor?
I was talking about the Rogue One character.
Oh, I guess. Why?
No, what's his name?
Also, did someone turn their headphones down? I hear echo when I'm talking. I think that might be Taylor. Yeah, that's Taylor's big ass headphones just cranked up to the.
He's got just subwoofers pointing towards the mic.
I don't.
What's his Grief Karga? No, that's not right. Is that
No,
his
Saw Gerrera.
name? Saw Gerrera. Who's Grief Karga? Why is that name in my head?
Oh, that sounds familiar. Well,
It's a Star Wars. Taylor, who's Grief Karga?
Oh,
is
fuck.
that's my favorite Mandalorian.
Yeah, that's the
one.
I knew that name. It had like a residency in my brain. I always just can pull Grief
I
Karga.
screwed up before his brief cargo or something like whatever his name was. I got shit for it.
Brief cargo pants.
Yeah, but remember too. What was I gonna say? Who the fuck are you pulling off right now?
That's the guy from the episode. He was
That's Grief?
He was no. Like I was the guy I mentioned earlier from Rogue One.
Okay,
Oh.
well, Saul. I am not good with names.
No, not
tonight.
Saw.
Saw
Like
Gerrera.
the other guy. This not Saw. This guy. This guy was in the prison with what's
Okay.
his pickle? Andor.
Okay.
That's cool. I don't know, like what.
I didn't pick that up.
How long is he in Rogue One?
Throughout the whole third act, I would say.
Okay, so I don't.
But
give a
he
shit about
dies.
him. Yeah, I don't give a shit about him. So there you go. You got 3 surprises in this episode. But no, even Andor at one point gave like his fake name. And it sounded close to Grief Karga. Like it was something like GF Jigar, and I was like, yeah, Keith. Yeah, it was like Keith Cargo, and I was like, wait a second, like, are you related to him and stuff like that? But nonetheless, yeah, I really liked this kind of facility of just they are thrown in there. There's another movie crap that me and Dylan reviewed too. I'll have to find it. I don't know if it's called The Staircase or something. It's like these guys, they get put in this room and this elevator just keeps bringing up food, but you got to do these terrible things to get in, stuff like that. But I loved everything about this, and that's what I loved. It was just showing how bad the Empire can be, how they're doing this whole like, oh, if you work really hard, you can come to our system and move up. It's like that shouldn't be the way things go in real life. You shouldn't be just kidnapped. And like I'm sure there's other people here that are guilty of what the Empire says, but even look at what Andor happened last week. Like he didn't belong to like just get fucking arrested and get this fucking sentence and everything like that. But just like that, he swept away and put in the system, and obviously he's probably gonna get out at some point. But there's that. I love how obviously the big other reveals. You got Andy Serkis, who's just like he's just Sam Jackson in Django Unchained, who he's just completely like he's the house slave. Like he's just become like, hey, you're gonna get in line, don't ruin my line, stuff like that. So all the dynamics, the electric fence, everything about this, 10 out of 10 stuff. And as always, the fucking score throughout the show, so good. But yeah, this whole sequence, whatever concept, great, really well executed.
It seems like it could be such a good like psychological thriller movie of like that setting, right? You have these characters in this prison that like they have some like they're not chained or like locked into their cells or anything like this. They can work and like they are fed, and there's like these incentives to like work harder and all these
they
things.
Want us well fed.
Yeah, it's a very different take on like just working them to the bone, working them to death. And I feel like that was a surprising take. I feel like I haven't really seen a Star Wars story like taken that way, and obviously seeing Andy Serkis in there made a big smile on my face, and
Yeah.
just that whole situation, it was very intriguing on like, okay, what's Andor's next move gonna be? So when like that 30 days later came up, I was like shocked. You know, it wasn't like a 5 years later, like it was in Endgame or something like that, but still, it was like holy shit, like he's here for a good month now, and it doesn't seem like he's okay. This is the plan to get out. Like none of that really happened this episode, and that was just very unexpected, for me at least. And
No plan yet. He's thinking about something. That moment where he paused, I thought he was when he's like, "What are you doing? You guys could finish first." Say he saw something where he was like, "Okay, I could use this," and stuff like that. And I'm excited to see what happens with Andy Serkis. Like, is like Andor just gonna kill him? And as always, I think we talk about this all the time because obviously he's always caked in a CGI suit, everything. But just fucking Andy Serkis is just a guy alone, such a goddamn good actor. Like, obviously he was Snoke in this universe, but that doesn't cross my mind at all when I'm watching this. Not because he's just a regular person, but just the way he plays. And like, he's just so good. Like, you look at the range from this to Alfred earlier this year, where you just love the guy and you feel so bad for him, where this, you're like, fuck this guy. Like, I want Andor to fuck him up so much, but he's so good because you still kind of understand his motivations, right? Because he's just trying to work his way up. So what did he say? He's like 120 days away from getting out of here. It's like,
something
you can
like
understand.
that.
Yeah, he's like so close to the finish line. Like, there's so many good dynamics going on.
Is there like some crazy fan theory out there of like this character is Snoke? Just
100%
like,
has to be.
Yeah.
It's definitely a clone.
Chronological order, it fits, right?
Yeah. That's what they're building. It's just the tanks, like, you know, the Snoke tanks he was in Rise of Skywalker. That's what they're building. Palpatine's like, I need 6,000 tanks.
Seeing Andy Serkis was just a complete surprise for me because I was not expecting it. I was watching this.
That came out last year.
night.
That's why I was surprised you forgot about that.
I forgot about that.
about it
Like
too.
the character I was remembering was okay. We're getting Saw Gerrera in here.
Yeah.
But Andy Serkis. That totally like it. I forgot. I totally forgot. So it was again very nice surprise. And you're right. Like he is fantastic because like when I think of Alfred, like I don't think of Andy Serkis playing Alfred. I just think of that character Alfred, but it is played by Andy Serkis, and that just is, like you said, it's a testament to just how well he could stand out playing these different iconic roles and not get casted or not like typecasted.
Typecast, yeah. He's not the same guy every time. Yeah,
exactly, and I love that. In this sense, just very simple. I'd love it if they kind of ran with him and made him out to be a little bit bigger of a character than he is. But I mean, I could see them killing him off on like the last day, or
he's not leaving that facility.
No,
he's not.
120 days.
I think also just for like shooting wise, I bet that's how they could do it. Is like, well, he's gonna come in here, shoot some stuff, and you know, I just wish he was a better director because I always forget he gave us Venom 2, and I wish that carried over. But you know, acting
Great actor, great actor, narrator. Go check out the Lord of the Rings, narrated by him. Fantastic.
Maybe Venom 3 will be the one.
Redemption.
I don't think it's been announced.
Anyways.
All we know is Tom Hardy and that 50 Shades of Grey writer is writing Venom. And it's like, great. So
maybe
awesome.
Tom Hardy
like,
and
you know
the
what?
50 grade. 50 grays of shades.
She's rode, and he or she's rode in the first two as well, and they've rode in Morbius. So can't wait for Madam Web. But anyways.
maybe Feige was like, okay, Circus, you need to go in, you need to direct Venom 2, you need to sabotage it, and then when they give up the rights, we're gonna swoop in and buy it.
It didn't work because Venom 2 made a bunch of money.
Fuck. Feige's like,
that's
Circus,
what Feige said. Yeah.
what are you doing?
We're not bringing you back for Secret Wars. But go ahead.
I was just gonna touch upon it a little bit more, like the whole prison scene, everything in there. Yeah, it's crazy seeing this, as you mentioned, this new alternative take to the Empire, because everything that I've seen from the animated series to live action, it's always grungy, it's just war torn, it's just you said earlier, Travis, just that the concentration camp vibe, just it's not ideal living conditions whatsoever. So just the way they divided up the characters into different ships going to different facilities, I thought was interesting. How they just kind of again they typed out Cassian for what he could be capable of doing, and now we got our boys wearing snowboard boots and this magical little landing pad. So very cool concept, and just the way that even though they skipped over 30 days pretty quick, you still feel the toll of just the duration of this visit, and you really feel the weight of some of these people when they're just there, they're shaking, and the one guy's doing sign language out the glass, and you couldn't tell if he was really communicating with another guy like miles away in the other hallway, or if that guy was just tweaking out, because like everyone just looked really lucid and not coherent.
I think something's gonna come of that. I feel like this show Like you could be right, but I feel like this show does a really good job of just placing little nuggets and then they bring it back later. I could see him getting some sort of sniff of rebellion, but that's the thing with this. How it works is like they go to work and then when they're done, they get put right back in their chambers, right? So it's almost smart of like they don't have any time to talk. There's not like a lunch. There's not like a cafeteria like you see always in a prison movie, right? Where it's like, oh, they got a chance to be alone while the guards are like kind of watching them, but not really. I love the line when Andy Serkis is like, "You don't need to tell me anything that's going on because I'll know before you." And there was even that where some guy was just kind of whispering something. He right away grabbed and like, "Hey, not." He didn't say "knock the fuck off," but to that equivalent, right? Of just like, I for a second thought we were going to see some man ass. For a second, we didn't. I was kind of hoping they went the full way when they're showering down.
I was waiting for it.
Yeah,
I was on the edge of my seat.
Also, Serkis was looking fucking jacked there too. When they showed his shoulder, I was like, "Jesus, Alfred, what are you? You getting ready to fight Joker?" Yeah, but even
Rip
then,
like an MMA fighter.
Yeah, ripped like an MMA fighter. I love that. That's how they shower. They just get like water sprayed on them to kind of wash away some of the built up sweat, and then they go upon their day. So I'm very excited because I think everything's well thought out. I'm very excited to see, okay, what is the way out of this? Even that when they're on the dock there, that inducing of the pain. Oh my God, that's some of the most frightening stuff I've seen in Star
Wars. Level 1 too.
And he's like, yeah, this is just level 1, baby. Again, he didn't say
baby. But he dropped.
One issue, and I think it's not, again, it's not really an issue because I think it works with how the Empire set them up with treating them so well, but I would have loved to have seen more alien diversity in here. But then I think, the reason they're being treated well is probably because they're all human and the Empire's racist towards aliens. The aliens are probably the ones going to the camps.
A known thing in Star Wars?
Oh, absolutely. They're racist prejudice.
I think that works though because remember they're trying to almost indoctrinate these people, and that's the other thing with the 30-day shifts that I like. That Andor, he kind of looks like he's looking like he might have something going on in his brain, but at the same time he just looks like he's here. Like he's here. Okay,
he's ready to join the Empire.
Well, no, but just like he knows the only way out of this.
So well.
He knows the only way out of this situation is to possibly just do the job, right? And we don't know how long Serkis is. Did he see how long he'd been there? I know he said he had 120 days left or something, but like,
must be a long time.
There could be a chance.
He's like the head honcho of the floor, I would imagine.
There could still be a chance. I don't know how long, but if he's because they even said like they're watching how you do and they take notice of how well you do. There could be a chance that Cassian might be the line runner at one point and uses that to get out or something because
gets up before Serkis.
But like that's what I was taking. Almost Andor is like fuck. Like I don't have a way out, so the only thing I have to do is literally commit to this. And then what the Empire wants is they want you to commit so hard that you kind of forget about your past life. And it's kind of like, well, at the end of the day, they fed me all this stuff and they gave me a new life. They could have given me to prison. They could have killed me, but they didn't. So they're trying to me with all these people. They're trying to do oh god, why can't I think of it? When you keep somebody and they fall in love with you or they like you. Stockholm syndrome. That's how I feel like they're trying to do that. They're trying to get them in the system that way, and I feel like that's Serkis now. I'm sure he started at one point not liking it, but now he's like fully in line. And I imagine when he gets out, he'll still be fully in line too.
He'll get out. He'll be a tourist, and then he'll get arrested again. Throw him back.
Hey, I remember you. You didn't learn your lesson.
Or they arrest him as Andor. Cassian Andor. They he serves a sentence as this fake guy, Keith. And then does the sentence as Andor.
Well, that's the two
probably
things.
A harsher sentence as Andor.
Yeah, I don't think he's getting a chance as Andor. And that's the one thing I like is when we're talking about if he gets caught again. But one, there's that lady just thought he went out for a walk and he's just gone, And then two, it's so funny that they're, you got a bunch of Empire, top leaders looking for Cassian Andor, doing manhunts. They're even hearing this guy out about talking about Cassian Andor, and he is right under their nose. And I think that's some great like karma and something where they literally could have him. They literally could get pointed to, hey, we got him already. You could have Cassian ask all these things, but they don't know it, and that's what I like. And he was smart enough because he gave a fake name, right? So I really like that what they're looking for, they already have, and they don't know.
Yeah.
So it's fun.
No, absolutely. Like when they were having that discussion and like where are we gonna look for him, and then what's the planet that the big shebang went down that they think he's at?
Was it Ferrex?
Ferrex, yeah.
Yeah, so they're like, oh yeah, we gotta go find him like there, but it's just like, he's not there. Like he just left there and in an Imperial transport ship. So again, I agree with Travis's point there. It's a fun dynamic where the Empire is looking for the needle that's already in their bin. You know, they already got him, but just is a different name. And last thing I'll say on like the whole prison sequences, unless there's more to talk on it, don't let me stop you if you have more to say. But I just love all of the little details in it. Like, you know, we've slightly or briefly touched upon it, but as you mentioned, like just how like they don't need to really have weapons, because as long as like they just have bare feet, and then they can just totally like zap them right then and there. All the attention to detail when it comes to like the feeding tube coming out with like their little plate and like the fork that they just put on the wall when it's done. I imagine they gotta wash that every once in a while, because that can't be sanitary.
Yeah,
just never ever watch it.
I think in those chambers they're treating him really well. Like one of those holes
Yeah.
and jerk you off and stuff like that. You know.
Oh God!
This
And
is glory
then-
hole. That's when you're if they were to catch Cassian, he'd be on the other side of that wall. That's what his punishment would be. You're gonna suck as many dicks as possible for 10 years, and then we'll let you out. Maybe.
I have 120 days left of my sentence.
Yeah. You know,
120 dicks left on my
A dick a day.
Yeah, a day. I don't know about that. There's a lot of dudes in there.
I love too, just like that, how it's like if you come in last place you get fried. If you come in first, you get like, what is it, you get like a flavor to your food.
Yes, flavor, yeah.
And then in between, like, you just get like basically sustenance
glory hole.
to keep going. You get the glory hole if you
Yeah,
come in
first place. Yeah.
And then you come in last, you're on the other side of the glory hole. Yeah.
Exactly.
He
Get back that old man.
He got fried 2 times on that first day, I believe, too, right? Because he got fried once at the test period, and then they kind of like, when he was going into his quarters, they were kind of like sympathizing, like, you know, it's not every day, you know, you get fried twice, or like it's unfortunate you got fried twice today, or something like that. Paraphrasing, of course.
I think he
but-
said like you don't want to be fried twice in one day. Was it?
I can't remember. I just know he looked shook, like he was just not feeling
He
good.
looks
So
shook.
Fair
I
enough.
can't be the time breaker because I don't remember the line at all. So there you go. Yeah. Anything else on this Cassian prison business? No. There you go. So yeah, let's talk about Mon Mothma now, because I want to talk about her. I love these games she's doing right now, where they're having these meetings with a bunch of people. She's trying to vote and everything. I love every time she turns, where you have the one dude that they're trying to start a rebellion, and then she'll turn to next people, and she's like, it feels like she's going against the emperor like a little bit, but not so much as like how we know. It's just like political, like, oh, I kind of agree with, or I disagree with the side he's on here, but I could see his point of view. Like, she's doing that to the public in a sense, where really we know how she feels below. I love everything from the little drink thing to, hey, he's like, oh, you don't like those?
Squigs.
Yeah, you don't like those anymore? She's like, I never liked them. It's just harder to fake now and stuff like that. And I love that since we read that book, Taylor, there's so many shout out to her home planet, and they're just like little things we've learned from that. But we learn a lot about her husband too here, because I always wonder, I'm like, okay, how is she in this kind of very shitty marriage for just such a strong woman? And I don't think it was exact like this, but sounds almost like it was a prearranged.
it was
sort of
arranged marriage when she was like 16, too.
Yeah, because she said like,
No, 15, because she was 16 as senator, and then she said
Yeah.
we had already been married for a year. So
Right.
15, that's young.
yeah, and someone, one of the patrons was like, "Oh, that's romantic," and he's like, "And traditional," and that's where he came in. Now to me, it made
I thought
complete.
you said like one of our Patreons said that. I
know
was like,
so
who the
too.
fuck said
Wow.
that?
so, no, yeah, sorry, we gotta cancel you, but no, no, and I love that, where I now got the full scope of why this is the way they are, and I hope we get it. I don't know if we were gonna. I don't know. Did you guys ever see Marriage Story with Adam Driver and ScarJo? Now, I don't want a scene like that of him fucking punching the wall or something, but I want a scene where they go toe to toe and they argue. Maybe it's when she makes her big move, but I just want her to fucking ream this loser out. I think it's gonna happen to a lesser degree, maybe not this season, but in season 2. But I just want this guy to fucking just get, and I want him to walk in on her fucking the towels guy, whatever his name is. Like her husband, he's like, this shows Sir Christian Cole. Like, fuck this guy. He's awful. At least the kid, it seems like she's kind of in more on her mom's side, but kind of, might be in the middle.
Well,
and
she's
stuff.
innocent, right? She's a kid.
Yeah.
Like, you can't really hold
She's
her into
innocent,
it.
but I got her more in the sense that she's with the dad. Like, it's the
See, I thought
dad's-
that before until this episode. I thought that because
Yeah.
she felt like she was being nice, and she felt like she wanted to stick with her mom until her mom's like, "Oh, your dad's looking like." It felt like she was interested in, okay, what's my mom talking to this guy about? And she even said like, "Oh, he's around a lot," so she's getting interested.
Unless
I think
it's the dad that's saying like, "Go see what your mom's doing."
100%, right? And that could
She's
be the
fucking my
twist. Of it. She
Goes
fucking my
by on
wife.
her.
She fucking your mom?
Is she fucking my
You
wife?
fuck her
That's
mom?
what she says.
You
to his daughter.
Yeah, no,
Is he
Dad.
fucking my wife?
But no,
Oh my
I
God.
liked that last week. I love everything with the dynamics of the marriage. This whole, hey, we're having difficulties with the bank account. She's like it's not happening or troubles. Like I love everything here. And Mama, I would not have thought that when we started the show that Mom Mothma was like I know she'll ever get top 10, but and also she was in that book that me and Taylor just read. So she's like quietly climbing up my Star Wars ranking. And this actress also just like looking beautiful in the role, but does a phenomenal job. Like she just seems like that character. She does not seem like she's in a show or movie or reading lines. It's just I'm watching Mon Mothma trying to politic her way to something.
Yeah, coming into it, I did not think that Mon Mothma was gonna be like not an
It's
interesting
like, cool,
character.
she's
But
there.
yeah, exactly. It wouldn't be a character that I'm like really pumped on, like to see her on screen. But as you mentioned, Travis, like those moments when she's talking to, do we know his name? I know it starts with a
Taz.
T.
Tay Colma.
What?
Tay? Like Tay, right?
Say call him
Tay
Tay.
Tay as
Colma.
in Taylor.
T-A-Y. Yeah, and then
Call him Taylor.
Colma. Kolma.
So like anytime that she's speaking to Tay, like her new, is confidant the right word, where she can like kind of talk about some rebellious
so.
things, and then
Partner.
in that same room, because she's just like in a Shark Tank essentially, like so many people there are for the Empire, and then like she'll be talking about something, and then the next person will come by, and she just immediately switches over, and it just goes to show how long she's been kind of like doing this for, like she like
Yeah.
and like just getting that little detail that she's been a senator since 16. And like obviously we got some more further information on her and her husband's like dynamic, and it's not like we get a flashback, someone's hammering on an anvil, and we get taken back to like their marriage or anything
God.
like that. Like I'm so glad they didn't waste time doing shit like that. Like any time that we get a little bit more backstory information, it just makes sense. Like it's done in like a very quick line, and that started because these two people wanted to ask why they're not staring out the window more often, because the view's so goddamn like perfect. And I just think like any little detail like that is just handled so well in the show. Credit to the writers and all that stuff, but definitely the actress's just like performance. I unfortunately don't remember her name. I'll have to pull
I
that
never
up. But
remember it. Yeah.
yeah, she is just absolutely killing it with this role, and yeah, like I said, like I'm surprised that I'm loving it so much, and it's a pleasant surprise for sure. Genevieve O'Reilly, that's her name.
Genevieve, yeah, and like obviously the expression everyone always throws around. I've done that too, of like, well, show don't tell. But there where I always throw up the example or the exceptional rules, people like a Tarantino, right? And that's where I'm not saying this is Tarantino level writing, but I'm saying it wasn't like she just walked over to somebody like, that's my husband, we were married at this age, but it was this, that, like it felt like a natural conversation they were having with people aligned with them, like just wanting its backstory the same way we would be talking. So it did not feel like exposition. It felt like a conversation, and that's like the best way to distribute info or facts with a character if you're going to talk about it, right? If you're not going to do that flashback, which I'm not saying that is the right route to go, make it feel natural. They completely do this whole like situation of them just being on Coruscant, like it they're on a space planet, they're wearing these space outfits, but it all feels real and it's good stuff. So let's take our second ad break, then we'll hear Taylor's thoughts on the political side. So we'll be right back. And we're back. So Taylor, what are you thinking? What's going on with Mon?
Yeah, Genevieve is absolutely legendary as this character.
What was her
Holy shit.
name?
Genevieve.
That's I don't know that. I don't
She
think that's how you
Francais?
say it.
She
It's
Francais long?
definitely a French name.
Yeah, but I don't think they say it as Genevieve.
Oh,
She from Quebec or Montreal or something like that.
She Canadian? There we go. We
I
got
have an
another one.
She's Dublin. She's Dublin. She's Irish.
She's Irish.
gosh.
I don't
I
think
hated
it's
someone else today.
John Lviv or whatever you're saying.
John Lviv.
Yeah, that's
Genevieve.
I think
That's
it's
actually
just
probably what it
Genevieve.
is, because that like if you kind of say it phonetically, I think that is actually probably it.
Genevieve?
Well, we
But that's
meet
very
her.
French.
You
I
saying
think
the John Lviv? Because when we meet her, I'll be like, okay, so my boys, my squad,
Genevieve.
they call you John Lviv.
No,
Is that
that's
the
what
right way?
you think. I think it's Guinevere.
Genevieve is how I pronounce it.
What am I saying?
Guinevere.
What if you
Don't
say
call her that. Don't call her that. She's
What
like
if you
security.
Kirklin said it the first time and it felt perfect. How did you say it?
How did I say it the first time? Genevieve. Probably Genevieve.
No, that's not how you said it the first time.
I
don't
can't even
think.
remember now.
What's her last
okay, run
name?
it back.
O'Reilly.
O'Reilly.
Okay, so
That's an
O'Reilly.
Irish name. That's a very Irish name.
Oh, O'Reilly.
O'Reilly.
John
Oh,
Lviv
Genevieve.
O'Reilly.
That's what they call her on set. O'Reilly.
John Lviv O'Reilly. John O'Reilly for sure.
Oh my god. Okay, so I think the actress is fantastic. I think she's great as Mon Mothma.
I'm not gonna forget her fucking name now.
John Taylor's notorious for having these like very, very bizarre way of saying names, and
It's a
like
real way to
certain
say
ones
it.
that
Yeah, but remember when Maddie called him out with it? He was like, "That's not how you say it." Remember there was one time he said, "I think you got croissant right." He gave you that, but there was one time he said something else. He's like, "No, that's not how we say it over here in Quebec." But
There's a chance, but
I'm gonna do a Google search here.
I just think that the way that they're approaching this, her having her situation discussions with this character Tay Colmat, I think that it's gonna get like cautious now, because if she were to have a third meeting, it's gonna be very suspicious, because now people are onto her. People are a little bit curious. Okay, like he's back now for this party. It's been obviously like at least over 30 days later. It's been some time. So why is he just consistently coming back to these parties now all of a sudden? So it's going to create some speculation and some curiosity. So they got to play their cards.
That's why.
Yeah, he's fucking his wife. Yeah, they're.
That's what I would love it.
That's the
They
benefits.
wouldn't. I don't think they'd actually do that in the show, but I'd like it if he jumped to that thinking that's what was going on, but really. You guys didn't tell me echo cancellation was on the whole time. Come on, amateur hour. But no, I would love it if they think it's something else and not that, because they wouldn't think like, oh, she's not going to overthrow the fucking emperor and stuff like that, you know. So
That's true. It'd be interesting, like if they did go that route, just how he would play it out. Like throw
they
like a
kinda do that with
lightsaber
Tim,
in her,
right? Remember,
throw a
Tim thought
lightsaber in her
Andor,
bed. She's a
Tim thought-
Jedi.
Who
throw a
pulled this up?
lightsaber in her bed. I did.
Hang
Hang on. I got the audio for it. But why do you think she's throwing a lightsaber? in
No,
her
just
bed?
like if the husband suspects her of cheating to get her in trouble, he just throws a lightsaber in her bed and help Palpatine, she's a Jedi.
Oh my god,
Arrest
that's
her.
a convoluted way. But plus, hey, we did get that almost sex scene in episode 1 or 2. We had Tim like thinking Andor and Bix were getting it on, so you never know. But here you go. We'll do slow version.
Genevieve O'Reilly.
Did you hear that? Genevieve.
That's how I
yeah.
said.
That's how you did say it the first time.
This
So
is
not
the American
John-
pronunciation. Change it to French, and then I will.
No, change it to Irish.
No. There's a
right
button
there.
right there. There's a button right there. Click off that. Right above the lips.
above it.
It's just British.
British. What the fuck?
Do the
Let's
British
see-
one.
Yeah.
Genevieve O'Reilly.
It's about the
Alright.
same.
It just changed the accent.
That sounds like me faking a British accent.
Genevieve O'Reilly. So it's not John Vieve. At least we know
John
that.
Vieve is definitely.
And I
Watch
had to
Rush
go-
Hour. Watch Rush Hour 2.
But
They
she's
call
not
her John
French.
Vieve.
She's she's Genevieve O'Reilly.
You almost wrote
Genevieve.
Genevieve.
I did. Yeah.
Do not
being a
listen to
Witcher.
Taylor though, because he also remember when he said Jennifer Connelly,
Oh yeah, Jennifer Connelly. Yeah.
Connelly.
Who's the other? Vincent D'Onofrio.
Donofrio.
I think I did that one wrong too.
Why
That's
did
when
I
we
even
got-
trust you? Yeah, no.
That's when they popped off on us in the comments. It was just me and
Oh
Taylor.
yeah, you went with it.
I didn't know. It looked right.
Oh, that's so good.
Guinevere O'Reilly.
Genevieve.
Genevieve O'Reilly.
What it wasn't? It wasn't Was it Guinevere?
No.
Genevieve.
Genevieve is a
Genevieve.
O'Reilly.
Jen O'Reilly. is what I'm gonna
Genevieve
say.
O'Reilly. Yeah.
I haven't heard that name in a long time.
It was just the O. It was just Genevieve O'Reilly.
It's like, hold on, let me hear the British version.
Teas and crumpets.
Yeah.
Genevieve
O.
O'Reilly. O'Reilly. Anything else?
Just lost a
I'm
lot
off
of
on the
British
can.
listeners right there.
Yeah, that's our second biggest demo too. So. Anything
Um,
else? Carl's gonna love this if he's listening. Well, he hates Star Wars, so he won't be listening. We should have asked him.
I feel like I had another thing on her, but overall, it's just it's good stuff, and it's that's what it was. Thanks for reminding myself, Kirklin. But it's particular when she's actually, or an aspect of her character that I find very interesting is how she's always been this like sort of opposition to like what the Empire is kind of already doing. Like she's almost like the good senator in the Senate, and like it seems like she doesn't have to put on like a completely 180 face of like what her ideals are kind of standing for. Like, because when we saw her in the what's it called, like the Senate Hall thing with all the discs. What's that area called? Where Yoda fought Palpatine.
Go
What are
on,
those
you
called?
love
Just
that
the,
place.
it's
The
well, I
Senate.
love that place. It's just the Senate.
Okay.
Oh, is it? Okay. So like when she was there, like she's just like fighting against like like basically crimes
Palpatine's
against.
throwing the discs at her.
That's the
She's throwing
finale.
those worms.
Christ, the squigs.
Yeah,
No, but like,
squigs, yeah.
what I'm trying to say is like I feel like
John
it's
VF.
it's. Oh no, it's not so unbelievable for her to like put on this like blank face because she doesn't have to deviate too far from what she's already been like standing up for this whole time. And I think that's just, you know, it's a character that I could like even without knowing this like rebellion spin on her. I obviously like her so much more because of it. It makes her so much more interesting and so much more dangerous of just she is this this problem to the Empire in the Senate that they could easily just remove her as soon as they find that out. And I imagine that that moment will come at some point. But
She's our spiritual like successor of after Padme. Which is
yes,
very
exactly.
nice.
Yeah,
the
and
beacon.
she's the beacon of hope.
She was in Star Wars or Matrix Reload and Revolutions too as Officer Wirtz. So there you go. Didn't know
Warts?
that. Wartz. I'm gonna have to look
Officer
out for it.
Wirtz.
Let's not get in the name pronunciation.
O'Reilly.
Let's talk about Luthen. We got 2 scenes this week, but like I said, they're still pretty minor. But I think the big juicy scene we finally got Saw Gerrera, which I like the nice little touch of them showing what is that species that's always on top of that cliff there, because that's the guy in Rogue One as well. He's like hanging up there when they go to his.
I'll pull it.
Yeah. Anyways, he's going there because he has some parts that Saw Gerrera might need, but then he wants Saw Gerrera to meet a guy, and kind of his whole thing is, you know, like you can help the rebellion, but you should try and get more in the fold. And Saw Gerrera's kind of like, fuck that, like. I'd much rather do it this way because I can't trust him. Lists all these types of ways people are, stuff like that. And he asks Luthen what you are. Just overall, a fantastic scene. I like when you got 2 characters that sit down, and they got this opposing side, and they're not necessarily wrong, and they're not right either. Like they both, it's a gray area, and they both have great points. And I thought this was just like 2 great actors. This is much better than what they had Forrest Whitaker do in Rogue One. Like, you will be the rebellion. At least they're getting a fucking ant. He's not some fucking like a balloon deflating or something like that, running out of air. And I get it. You can say like, oh, it's because age. Doesn't matter. They made, and I don't think that's him. They made the directors and team. They made him cheesy. Because again, if you look at Rogue One, he was supposed to look more like this in Rogue One, and they made him look like, I don't know, fucking Aunt Frizz on cocaine. So
Just crazy eyed.
yeah, like I did that. That to me was a caricature, and I didn't like it. This guy, I could believe is doing all this stuff. This guy is interesting. This guy I want to see in the show more. This is the guy that gets me excited. So this scene, them just going back and forth, their ideologies, their plans, their methods, fantastic stuff. Again, it's like I said, just watching Forrest Whitaker and Stellan Skarsgård just like trade blows, and you don't believe it's these actors, you believe it's these characters. It all fits, and yeah, loved it. Great scene. I don't have much more to say. It's just like the whole thing was just fantastic. I thought they knocked it out of the park.
To answer your question about who that alien was, he is a Togneth, and there's 2 of them from Rogue One, but the one specifically you're referring to, I believe his name is Edrio, also named Two Tubes.
2 tubes. Actually, it's Jean Levev 2 tubes. That's
He,
what it is.
his
Yeah.
brother, they shared the same egg, or he was his egg mate. That's what it's called.
Oh fuck! Never say that again. Okay, good.
Mr.
Good to
Two
know.
Tubes.
Yeah.
I feel like that's the name that his bullies like called him back in
Yeah.
grade school.
Look at 2 tubes. I had my own tube, bitch.
Fuck off, O'Reilly. My name's
Yeah.
not Two
He shared an
Tubes.
egg with his brother.
Yeah.
I feel like this scene in particular was where I was really just feasting on Stellan, just being phenomenal, and just all of his lines. It was so great, and I like forgot. I just completely forgot like Forrest was coming into the show again, so to have them there was a pleasant surprise. And I liked that it wasn't just like, oh yeah, obviously everyone that's against the Empire is just gonna be on the same sides, or on the same sides, same sizes. Say they're on the same sides. Easy for me to say, and it just made this little. It made it a little bit more interesting for the character of Luthen, where like oh my gosh, I'm struggling here, gentlemen. So Forrest's character, Saul, is it Saul or Saw?
Saw.
Like
It's not Saul.
Bonesaw is
Yeah,
ready.
it's not Saul Goodman.
Yeah, okay. So Bonesaw, he basically drops a line of like he doesn't even know what side he's like really on there, and like trying to find out what he is. Again, I laughed so hard because he was like, "What are you?" And I just got taken to the empty man. He's like, "What the fuck are you?" Gets really close to his face. Inside joke there. But yeah, I found it just interesting, this dynamic of like, it's not just a clear Empire and then the other side. It's all these other sides, and like, who can you really trust, especially if you're a character like Saw, who you have so many, like he's living in the caves, same place that we see him in Rogue One, and he has to do that for his own like safety, his people's safety, and just like run his rebellion there. And he is obviously like very hesitant to trust people that he's worked with in the past. And even though this guy has very valuable things for him, he still isn't just able to be like, oh yeah, we're on the same side. Like, this makes sense. I get these for just meeting this random guy. I don't know. It was just interesting there, and to have from both sides there. Like, the line delivery was fantastic, and just them going like bouncing off each other, that was great. But I think really for me it was Stellan Skarsgård just shining through. Luthen was so phenomenal there. He's got a haircut now. You know, I think we were kind of speculating if there was gonna be like time jumps or something like that, and like leading up to the show in the trailer, because we saw him with long and short hair. But it's been 30 days according to.
He doesn't have a haircut, Kirklin. You forgot him. No, that's a wig.
It's a wig.
Oh, okay.
One wig
What
to
do you
save
know?
a million.
You're saying
He's
that
got a
like
weave.
you're saying that like we're lying to you. Kirklin's like, oh, okay. Remember the whole in episode 2 when he's put on the thing? He's
It's like
put on his
10-minute
costume?
sequence of him like putting his wig on.
Yeah, and he's like getting ready.
I've had a long day, gentlemen. Yeah.
I didn't want to call you out. It's just you looked at us like, yeah, sure, it's a wig. Like, no, it's a wig. Like, because he puts that on.
I
next
wasn't doubting you there. It's
No,
just like,
you're
okay,
like,
I believe you.
Okay.
Okay.
We'll
You write whatever
launch
narrative you
you.
want me to have.
You
Travis.
sounded like what's
what you
his
usually
name
do.
from fucking who's the guy that looks after the kids, but he's a shithole on Harry Potter. He has the cat.
Oh, Mr. Filch.
Filch. That was Kirkland. He's like, oh, when we travel.
Isn't he a
on
squib?
now."
Isn't
He
that
is
what
a
he's-
squib.
Yeah, and he's a bitch too.
A squig in this case.
That's so
great,
funny.
great actor. Though.
Full circle.
Yeah. Yeah, you haven't talked about it yet.
So I think that getting to see more of this unfold with the rebellion and just the extremist kind of portion is fantastic. Seeing Skarsgård just he knocks it out of the park every freaking time as Luthen. I really, really like how he's just being called out like, hey, you're slipping, old man. No, I'm not. Deactivate the code. I'm paraphrasing, of course, but
Give me my wig.
No, man. He puts it on like Saw puts it on saying, so look at me, I'm Luthen.
Look at me. I'm the
Yeah.
rebellion.
So give it back. It's my wig. Next time you see Luthen at his shop, his wig's just like all fucked up. Like when you put it in a Halloween box, you take it out the next season. Luthen's just like, hi, welcome to my shop. And it's just.
I think the whole meeting was great, seeing Luthen try to sell off all this gear, but trying to persuade this one sector of rebellion to team up with another portion of rebellion. Like, hey, you'll have all this for free if you just team up, and we'll be able to get a lot more done by teaming up. But it just totally chimes so well, because at this time in Rebels, we're looking at all these individual rebel cells that are operating, and so many of them, they didn't know about other cells that were operating. They didn't know how to really come together and work. Like, we didn't have massive fleets of rebellion at this point flying through space, having bases or anything like that. And that's what makes it so exciting, is because they're all independent cells that need that leadership to join together. And that's what, you know, Luthen is trying to steer them towards, and I really like that. So to build off of this is going to be great. I expected nothing less than Saw Gerrera to just be like, no, I'm not joining you, because after what we saw in Rogue One, it fits. And even what we kind of know about in Rebels and in Clone Wars too, like his just kind of persona, he doesn't do that.
He's like the, like, I know they're talking about like the rebels and rebellion, but he's like the ultimate rebel. Like, he's always against the grain and stuff like that. He's the guy that we've talked about this many times, but when they think they're going too far, he'll even go further. Plus, he has a good backstory, right? He lost his sister. He's been through some fucked up shit. So that's what I liked about this character and his performance here. That, to me, felt the weight of all that. Where if Rogue One, to me, he just felt very cartoony, and I did not feel the weight of that at all, really. Did not feel like this guy's a guy that feel like he's been through the shit, and he doesn't trust anybody, but it's like little camp of people, and he can only trust Luthen to like an extent, a percentage, and that's about it. So
His trust is in 2 tubes, and that's it.
yeah, oh yeah, he loves 2 tubes. Yeah, he was the other tuber.
The other egg mate.
Yeah, the resemblance is uncanny between the two.
Anything else on this section?
No, I don't think so.
All right. What about Val? I found this was another great moment where I was mentioning earlier with the way the show is able to just give a little bit of information regarding like their past in like a very quick line, as opposed to having some stupid armor slammed with followed by a fucking back to tank flashback or something like that. And it was just like the quick line of I forget her counterpart's name, but she was basically saying like, "Oh, I could just pretend I was a rich girl that just like ran away," and then she's like, "That's a low blow for even for you." And again, it just like gives a little bit more detail of her backstory, and that just it made the character like I was already kind of interested in the character, and just having like that information, it's like, okay, who is she tied to in the show? Like she's got to have some ties to one of the higher ups. Tater's probably gonna educate me right here.
I will not be, but they're lovers, aren't they?
Yes.
The two of them, yeah.
Yeah, and I like that. It was very because she's just like, I can't remember the exact line she said, but something about like, have we been doing this enough, or isn't there a break? And then the other, the I can't remember her name, just said there's never gonna be a break. You know, like this is, like this is the job and this is
the
life
way.
and stuff like.
Not until
this is the way.
episode 9. No
yeah,
breaks.
I like that. That was yeah, and even then they're like, oh, we're continuing the story, motherfuckers. The Nile's back. But no, that I everything I liked about that was subtle, and I like that they are just trying to figure out, okay, how do we even get to Andor? Because this is the only lead they have, right? So
Yeah. Cinta, that's her name. Kaz. Cinta Kaz.
yeah.
Badass Star Wars name.
All they can do is just watch and just see like, oh fuck, they're getting tortured by the Empire. It sucks to be them.
Oh fuck. I hope that line's in Star Wars.
Oh fuck yeah, and that's exactly, we got to add a little update there on Andor's kind of like adoptive mother, and then we had Bix. She's got caught, so she's gonna go through the shit right now. Not looking for her, but I feel like she's not gonna give up as much as she could unless there's some truth serum there or something. But yeah, they are on the hunt for Andor. So I like that all. I like that him and her and that other guy, the whatever the yard guy was, just he had some line like, "Oh, she's not your mother," and it's like, "She's not yours either," you know, and just this kind of way of like, like, even though we're friends with Andor, we shouldn't have to. Like, we can't cover for him forever, and now because Bix she's got caught, and like I said, pain is coming her way, unfortunately. Because I like Bix, I hope she's in the show more. So,
and that's another like even just with the Aunt Petunia character of like being like pro rebellion, and just like we're seeing little glimpses of again these little embers of this rebellion forming, and not just all in one area. You know, it's not like this is the rebellion group. It's, you know, Taylor mentioned it when we were talking about Saw Gerrera. It's just like these little like sects of the rebellions popping up, and it's I think the show is handling that so well. And again, like back in the day, it was like, oh yeah, rebels are cool. You got Luke Skywalker, Han, and like that's cool and everything. But now it's like, man, this is totally interesting to me of just seeing them in this stage. And yeah, huge credit to the show for that.
mm-hmm. Should we talk about our favorite
Creepy Thin Man?
Yeah, Creepy Thin Man. Yeah, go ahead, Kirk.
Yeah, so if you've been checking out the rest of the reviews, I fucking hated this character so much. I thought we were just wasting so much time with him. And this was the first episode that really actually had me a little bit interested in where his story's going to go. I think it's particular just because he's interacting with our favorite lieutenant, what's her name? Daedra. And just like how she's kind of using him to like further along, I don't know, her quest for, what does she even want? Just more power?
Just more power. I think she wants to be top
crush
dog.
out the rebellion. Yeah.
I fucking loved that scene when she was giving out the whole explanation. The guy was like, like he was resting, like not really resting, because he's like, oh yeah, I'm listening, but like just not giving a shit about it. So I feel like she's just trying to get some big brownie points to move up the ladder. That's what I feel. She's just motivated by power.
And that other character, the Grand Maester. whatever his character is, how he's like kind of like siding with her now. And again, like from where we saw him earlier in the show, like he just seemed like such a powerhouse. And it's so interesting when you have these like imperial hierarchies and like the chain of command, and it's just like one character can just seem so enforcing and like scary, and it's like, oh, this is like the top dog, but really it's just a rung in the ladder. And then to like his superior, he's just like another whelp or whatever. And like the I think it's more so like the body language and the way that character was speaking in that room was a lot different than when he was like the man in charge. I forget all the titles and everything. Maybe Taylor can chime in. The dude with the mustache that he pulled up all those images.
Wolf Yularen.
What's his like title though? Wolf?
No, that's his
The
first
Wolf.
name.
Okay.
In the Republic, he was a colonel. I can't remember his Imperial SB rank. I'll pull it up real quick.
But I agree while he's pulled that up. This is the first time he was interesting to me because I really liked that while you're sitting here, you sign those documents. And he's like, I was forced to sign those documents. I didn't read a single thing. So I loved him. Like, he had an answer for everything back. And then she did as well when he's like, oh, yeah, I'm just looking for Andor. I believe he's a threat to the Empire and stuff like that. And she's like, I don't really have time for, she didn't say these games, but I don't really have time for this. Just tell me the real reason. She sussed out that it's a personal thing, that he feels like he got screwed over, he lost out because of Andor, even though lots of mistakes were made. So that's why I like on both accounts, they were just like, it was very much like a bluff game of them trying to use each other, but then get each other's full motivations, but not full motivations. And this was the first time where he felt like I said, compelling. She did give him that though, like, stay in line, or next time you won't be talking to me. So I'm interested to see what's going to happen with him going forward. But I love that this is the first time it just felt like he had some actual urgency. I know he wanted to get Andor, and we all knew like that's where we're going. But there's just something about this episode where it felt like, okay, he's pressed against the wall and he's gonna go toe to toe, where before he's just kind of felt kind of pathetic and just like with the little, just a grudge and stuff. So hopefully it seems like this yeah, but I mean, like, you in a way where it's like, I didn't believe this guy is gonna do anything, but him going toe to toe in a word sparring with her was like, okay, he's maybe a bit more smart than we think. Like, even in those battles, when those first 3 episodes, he like froze up and looked like, okay, what's gonna be the point of this character, right? And I think the point of him is he's gonna also climb up as well too, because we do have a season 2. So I'm not fully like, oh, I love this character now, but at least it gave me some interesting notes, and I hope that continues and it's not just a one-off.
Yeah, I think to add on further with that too, it's like, because those early episodes I just saw him so pathetic, and then he goes to his mom and he's just like even more pathetic. He's just like crying, staring at his Cheerios or whatever. And he, like, where he is now, as you're mentioning, like kind of like where he would probably normally like put his foot in his mouth, like he actually like took that chance to like give his thoughts to her. It's like, I was a good officer, like I was very loyal, like I want to crush out this rebellion. And I could totally see him now being one of those like Imperial officers that just like backstabs the other officers, just like climb up the ranks. And I don't think he ever would have done that earlier in the show. And I think, to me, that's what's actually making him a little bit interesting. So again, I'm like cautiously optimistic on where we're going with this guy. I think the way that it ended, it was like, okay, I don't clearly see like how he's going to be interacting with Daedra moving forward, but I don't know. This was probably my favorite episode with him so far, because all the other ones I fucking hated so much. It was just a waste of time in those eyes. Again, a little bit hyperbole. Not so much, though, because I just really didn't like it.
Did you come up with his official title?
He is a colonel within the ISB, Colonel Wolf Yularen.
Colonel? That guy? Oh, Wolf. Okay, I thought you were talking about Creepy Thin Man. I was like, holy fuck.
Definitely.
Daedra's a lieutenant.
He's Thrawn's right-hand man.
I answer to the Emperor, and that's it.
Yeah.
So who would the Colonel be answering? Is that like where you get like the Mon Moths? Or
The Colonel-
not the Mon Moths. What are they called?
Moffs, the Grand
What's
Moffs.
Gustavo's Grand Moff? Yeah, there you
Yeah, the Grand Moffs are definitely more like political, because the Moffs basically, they hold power over star systems, and like they have a certain degree of military authority as well, I would say, but military authority is mostly given off to like the Imperial Navy. You have your Grand Admirals, those
Right.
higher up ones, and when you look at them, the ISB, like Colonel Wolf Yularen, that's he relinquished his command in the Navy and then jumped into the ISB. And as I mentioned before, the ISB, they're the ones who seed out, like, if you fuck up, do something bad in the Navy or something like that, or if you're a senator, for example, and you are conspiring, then the ISB investigates you. So they're the ones that kind of take care of internal affairs and stuff
Right.
like that when shit gets rowdy. So
Fuck yeah. It's awesome.
Anything else on this episode? It worried me with like IMDb and what's his name? Diego's listed for 24 episodes and Mom Moth was only listed for 9. I'm like, fuck, is she not in season 2? Because that's going to be a big bummer. But
they kill her off, just wreck on the whole.
yeah, this is her sister, Bon Mothma. That's actually who Luthen becomes. He like dresses up.
Gets a wig.
Yeah, so the Mon Mothma we see in Return of the Jedi is just Luthen dressed up and everything like that.
I feel like this is gonna come back somehow, but it just makes me laugh with Andor's mom when they're just like, yeah, she's sneaking out and she's following around trying to dig holes open underground and shit for the rebellion.
Just go to the glory hole.
serving her time. She's not looking good though. She's not looking good.
Just letting her off go at it.
I feel like she's been a little bit on like the psyche, not so. My God, what a way to say that. She hasn't been so strong in the psyche, I feel like, throughout the show. And I thought
Yeah.
that was just because she's like been very old. But then she had like that like almost pushback with Andor being like, we can't just run. Like this rebellion's a real thing. And it's like, holy shit, like she is all there. And then you see her again and she is just kind of off the wagon. But her heart's in the right place, you know.
Just stir in the pot.
Mm-hmm.
Stir in the pot.
Well, we'll be back next week for Cassian Andor episode 9. So what, we got 9, 10, 11, 12. Got 4 episodes left, and then Cassian's over and stuff like that. So should have pimped it at the beginning. If you're listening to this, go check out our Tales of Jedi review, which we're going to be doing after this. But yeah, promise when you hear from us next, it will not be boring. May the Force be with you.
Always.
Dun.